they're teachers who've inspired faith in me. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to learn teachers that inspired faith within me. And I should say a word about faith because it can be a dirty word sometimes in America, for some people in America. Because, I love the teaching of Christ, but there's a lot of recovering Christians that can be Dharma centers. And in many forms of Christian practice, faith is seen as to believe in something, and that belief itself is what saves you. And but in a Buddhist context, faith it's not faith that saves you, it's your own, we save ourselves by seeing ourselves clearly. And so faith simply means being inspired to know that I can do this, that it's the truth, that it's worth doing, and that I can do it. So it's not about blind belief. It's about it's a motivating factor to practice. And from an early age, I had a deep conviction and certainty that I was, trapped in. I was not perceiving myself in the world and the world correctly, and that I was kind of trapped in this illusion that was causing me to act out of greed and anger, and that was a kind of hell, and I was like trapped in this hell. And so from the beginning, my kind of search was to find a way out of that. A lot of people come to Buddhist practice to find peace and calmness, and that's understandable, and probably a lot of people here for that reason. So I'm just stating my own motivation was a little bit different. It was like the recognition that I'm kind of trapped in this illusion and I need to get out of it. And so, experimenting with different religious and spiritual traditions, and I kind of gravitated towards Buddhism. And my first experience with the formal practice was with a Japanese Zen group in Westchester. And that practice, I was only there for about a year, but at least I interpreted that practice in the way I was engaging with it was to calm the mind by watching the breath. And, it felt good. And it also felt good, I must say, to practice in a group, and to have the support of a group, and to, when we practice in a group like this, we support each other, but we kind of also hold each other to account. We're not taking a nap. We're here because we're holding each other to account in a certain way. So that was all good, but I kind of got disenchanted with it because, it felt a little weird because there's just these white people wearing robes and chanting in Japanese, and there wasn't a single Japanese person in the room, and that just didn't feel right to me. It felt weird. And then a friend told me about a Chinese Chan master, Master Shen Yen, who, and this is like 35 years ago. At the time, Master Shen Yen had a temple, Chinese Chan temple in Corona, Queens. And so I went to see him in his temple, and he inspired.
Oh, sorry. So much for noble science.
And he inspired faith in me. And he was I think he was an enlightened teacher. He was a very, very, world-renowned Chan master. And I was with him for like a couple of years. And he, so I was living in Connecticut, and I would be driving down to Queens at least once a week to practice with them. And and at the same time, or near the same time, I was doing Tai Chi, and my Tai Chi teacher said, "Hey, I heard about this guy at Shonyan Monastery who's teaching this meditation with hands. Let's go. Want to come and see him with me?" So I went, and Tavivat, it was getting this PhD in Philadelphia, and he would come up periodically to lead a little group of practitioners, and to introduce this method, Rinpoche's method, and it's not on I forget a Saturday or Sunday, I forget what day it was, but periodically he'd be there, and I thought it was kind of interesting, and my Tai teachers quickly just dropped it because they saw it had nothing to do with Tai Chi. But I kind of stuck around, now and then. But my main practice was with Shengyen in Queens, and he taught a lot of different methods, and one that he taught was was meditation of sound, but the way he taught it was to set yourself up as sort of like a sound detector that is just being aware of the myriad of sound that's happening, and it's how it's changing constantly, and just even a very far away sound. Don't try to think about what it is, just detect the sound, and know it. And I got interested in that because it was different than just sitting calming yourself by watching your breath. Because if you do that, if you try to do that, the mind becomes very alert, because sound is every single moment is changing, So, I would say I did this for a while. My mind was very alert, and it was also calm in a certain way, because not because I was suppressing thought, because there was just no room for it, because I was aware, So anyway, that's what I was doing. And then Tavivat invited these Wanpo-Tien's lineage holders to come and teach, the monastic teachers to come. And the first was Ajahn Tan, and Nipen at that point was a young monk, and he was his translator and an attendant. And they came over, and so I went to, when I knew that was happening, I went, because that was Chongyan Manchus in Brewster, so it's just much closer than Corona. So I went over there, and they inspired even a deeper faith in me, because they spoke about, they kind of confirmed my conviction that we all are able, as even as Ajahn Dhamma said earlier, we all have the ability to know the truth. Everybody has the ability to know the truth in this lifetime. And it's not complicated. Just like it's not complicated to know whether the water you're sipping is hot or cold. Everybody can know it. And this really resonated with me and inspired faith in me. And so then they were here for the rain retreat, the 3-month period of practice. So they're going to be staying in Brewster, Chongyan Monastery, and or Carmel rather. I decided to kind of just plunge into that practice. And they did retreats, and I participated in as much as I possibly could. And my first retreat with them, I had my private interview with Ajahn Tan, and I told them what my practice had been, the observing sound, and I said that I think it's kind of similar to what we're doing, because you're observing the body and mind, and I was observing sound, and it's always changing. And he said, yeah, but you need to bring it closer to home. The awareness is good, but you need to point it back toward yourself, back to your own body and mind, rather than sound. And so I said, okay, I'll just make myself into, instead of a sound detector, a motion detector, and attend to the movement that's continually happening in this body and mind. And just the sound is changing every single moment. This body and mind also changes every single moment. And bringing attention, I discovered that was kind of the right object to turn towards, the movement that's happening in the body and mind. Because you see that what you took to be kind of solid and substantial is not. It's just every moment the body is changing, every moment the mind is changing, and these the kind of veil of ignorance that kind of draped over us before we come to practice started to kind of come apart in certain places, and so and it didn't take long. I mean, it was within that rain retreat, I started to have for the first time, not just be calm when I meditated, but just to know things, to see things about myself. And so then I knew it was a path, and that was, that was 33 years. I always remember, I can always tell how long ago it was, because Ashantan came over the same year my daughter was born, so that was 33 years ago. So I've been with it ever since, and I can, it's the movement that's happening in the body and mind is like the doorway to knowing yourself, and that's in accordance with other Vipassana teachings also. The Burmese master Mahasi Sayadaw, who is kind of credited with reinvigorating Vipassana practice in Southeast Asia, he said that from the knowledge of arising and passing away phenomena, the mind rushes towards Nibbana. And to see the movement that's happening in the body and mind is what brings us to that knowledge of arising and passing away. And it's the beauty, I think what makes this practice so powerful is that it's not just, you're not just watching the breath arise and pass away, you're watching this whole apparatus that I call Michael, this whole body and mind arising and passing away. And it's what gives us the ability to let go of it, to stop being, stop identifying with it, stop. I'm trying to think of the words to say it, but stop taking birth within it. It's the most important thing we can do, because to be stuck in that under that veil of ignorance and caught in suffering and die that way is, a shame and kind of a tragedy. And we all can break free of it. It's to see that you see that there's nothing worth it's not worth becoming that anymore. Ashana sometimes uses the simile of how he quit smoking. You can only quit smoking when you recognize what it is exactly is you're doing, and you say, okay, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. And that's the goal, the true goal of the Buddhist teaching, is to say that, I don't want to do this anymore, and letting it go. Before you see what you're doing, you can't let it go because you're so addicted to it. So it, yeah. I mean, I'm so grateful that I you know, you know, stumbled across this practice, and and grateful that we have the opportunity to share it with more people here too. So I guess maybe I'll just stop and we can have a conversation for a few minutes together. And it's in all these discussion periods that we have during this retreat, I encourage you to express doubts, to raise questions. One of the things that's kind of magical about the early days of Changyang Monastery is that they had, I don't know if people have been there, but it's kind of a destination place for Chinese Buddhists, and busloads, of Chinese practitioners would come up from the city, to have lunch on the weekend and to hear a Dharma talk, and I really appreciated their presence there, because I think Westerners tend to sort of be overly deferential, and not want to challenge anything, but these Chinese practitioners would, they weren't being disrespectful, but they say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" To Ashantang, they would challenge him, and he would respond, and everybody learned, in those exchanges, So, and also if we have a doubt or in our mind, it's almost a certainty that somebody else in the room has the same doubt or question, and so when you verbalize it, you help everybody, So anyway, I'm just not just for this discussion, but for the retreat, please, don't just accept it.
I have a question. That wheel there has the center of the wheel is Taoist, and the outside of the Buddhist morals and principles. Was this your idea or somebody's design? It's
So-
very unique.
So on the outside is the practice of the Eightfold Path, right?
Yeah.
And Ajahn Dha made that wheel. So you have to ask him what he meant, but why he put the yin yang symbol in the middle. Can you ask him? Tell me about why he put the yin yang symbol in the middle.
So it's Ajanda's own idea to put this symbol at the middle of the wheel. The Taoist symbol represents the dichotomy between good and bad, dark and bright, male and female, and so on. So this dichotomy represents things that's going on in the world. But when you walk to the past, then you are beyond those dichotomies.
guess I have a comment more than anything. Maybe there was part of the question. This is the first time I've done these hand movements, and I am finding it wonderful in the sense that, anytime I do any kind of body meditation, I'm initially very, very aware of the amount of anxiety that I'm feeling inside, and then I calm. But somehow, this particular practice, just with the hands that Frank taught me last night that we're all doing here, it's calming my mind, where it's like not just calming my mind, it's slowing down my thinking considerably. And so that's wonderful. It feels really good. You were mentioning when you do it that the only thing that I'm aware when I'm really doing it, I sort of feel held by the space that I'm in, we're all in. And then, as I say, my thinking is so much slower. I feel so much more present, and yet I'm not. So there's that more of a stillness. It's not like I'm aware as much than thoughts in my mind that I normally would with another kind of meditation, or a lot of movement in my body. It's more of both an inner and an outer stillness, and less about movement, even though I'm moving. So I guess it's. Do you feel when you're doing this, Michael, you're aware of both inner and outer, or could you just express a little bit more about how, if possible, how you experience doing this?
You mean by outer, you mean things in the room, you mean? Or what do you mean by outer?
The space on the inside is the same as on the outside, but I guess just, just seeing things differently. And then, but my mind is also much, not just calmer, but just, it's my thought process is much slower, which is really nice. I'm not thinking as sort of, much as I normally do. The thoughts have slowed, I guess, is what I'm noticing.
Yeah, so it's this practice is vipassana. So you say you practice vipassana, right? And with vipassana based on mindfulness of the breath, that's kind of your home base is the breath, but the other Vipassana teachers I'm familiar with encourage you to not just focus on the breath, but to use that as a tool to help you notice mental phenomena when it happens, and see it in a different way rather than getting involved in the story of it all, but just see the mental objects coming and going. And this is the same, right? So since you just have learned it, it may be, there's like more concentration happening because it's something new for you. But if you do it for a while, you'll start to get really used to the movement, and then your mind might start to get busier and busier because it's used to the movement. So then, but that's good because that's when you can really do the vipassana, not just calm yourself. It's okay to calm. You need to calm yourself a little bit, or we just get overwhelmed, right? So, but don't. That's not the ultimate goal. Just calm yourself enough so that you're not overwhelmed, but with thought, but mind to see the sensations that are happening in the body are changing all the time as it moves. And at the same time, the mind is perceiving things, it's thinking, and so just watch the movement without caring about the individual sort of objects that are coming and going, but just the fact that it's the changing itself,
Yes.
And I mean that's how I've done it. Is that so?
It took a while for me to experience
experienced the concept of seeing thought, and I found it incredibly helpful on a number of levels. But, and Tommy mentioned this yesterday, that when you can see the thought, it tends to fall away. You don't get sucked in. But, we all live in a conventional world, right? And we have to do a lot of intentional thinking. So there are times you've got to be focused on those thoughts, and there are times maybe where you don't need to be, but your mind is still spinning. I'm curious how you, just at a personal level, how you balance those things, those two ideas in your life. Because if you withdraw from the conventional world and you're a monk, it's a lot easier. You're not dealing with certain things. Whereas the rest of us are supporting our families and going to work. Just curious, more personal level, how you been able to balance those, or how you day-to-day think about that?
Yeah, so I think monks have problems too.
Just different problems.
Yeah. Maybe not as complicated or as lay life. But it took me a while to learn how to be aware in daily life. And that's why I'm a strong believer in setting aside time for formal practice. Because when you're in daily life, at work, where the thoughts are so seem so compelling and urgent, that I gotta engage it, But when we come together for a retreat like this, or even if you just practice in the morning at home by yourself, for some time, you can, just say, I'm practicing. I'm not, making a business deal right now. And so it's much easier. And so I think this formal practice is how we get our sea legs, get our basic understanding, and then in daily life, it's kind of, at first it's kind of on again, off again, we have some times when we're aware, and sometimes when we're not aware, and then, the more you practice, the more you see how, the awareness can be there all the time, but it takes a while.
So after all these years, are there times when you catch yourself during the day and you're lost in thought and you remind yourself to be aware, or does that just happen? Is that not an intellectual? It just happens to awareness kicks in and automatically?
Once sometimes thought comes up, but it doesn't last long, because I see it, I see it, and I know how to come out of it. Yeah. But just have patience with yourself. Ashana, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. But try to know. So, yeah.
Now that I'm starting to see things that are influencing my thoughts, or trying to call it my thoughts, like movies or social media or things like that, I find myself getting irritated. And it's just kind of aversion. I feel kind of like, how do I shift that? I gotta watch it.
How do you shift out of aversion?
Yeah, well, out of the irritation.
You're irritated about yourself for getting caught up in it, or what's irritation?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it's at myself or if it's at the phenomenon. There's so many things out there. So, I guess that's just the way the world is.
Yeah, phenomena is just phenomena. I mean, it all comes back to what Tavi was saying last night. It's thought is the irritation is based on thought. You know, thought that, oh, this shouldn't be here, or this shouldn't be happening, or I should be beyond this, you know, or whatever, you know. And so it's just, you know, this practice is just about see it, know it, you know, and that's how you know, we give up smoking, Michael or Heather or whatever, you know. We say, oh, look at that, you know, look at this dukkha that's happening. There's just this phenomena happening, and then there's the fabrication around the phenomena, the mental fabrication about it, and then there's dukkha because of that. And, so anytime you see dukkha happening, it's like it's good. It's like it's our teacher. Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you. I guess I'm thinking about effort, and sort of wondering today, I've gone through periods where it felt like I had real clarity and that there was like effort, but it was easy, and then there were other times where it felt like I was relaxing into much less effort, but then I would find myself sort of drifting off and getting tired and realizing that I wasn't sort of as aware. And I don't know where my question is headed. Maybe it's also just sharing, but that, yeah, wondering sort of, I don't want to ever, I know not to like force awareness and force attention, but I guess just hearing more about how to sort of be diligent without forcing effort, especially over the course of such like long days of meditating.
So I guess it doesn't really matter, you know, in the context of this practice, right? It doesn't really matter what's happening in the body and mind. Just see it and know it, you know. We turn it into a problem because we say, oh, I shouldn't be sleepy, I should be awake. So you're sleepy, just say, oh, there's sleepiness. You know, you can stand up and walk to help from just falling over on the cushion, you know, or put some water on your face. It's not that you can't do things to make yourself feel better or to wake up a little bit, but yeah, the effort shouldn't be striving so much. It's just this kind of gentle determination, just to see whatever is here, you know, and just see Sophia for what Sophia is, you know, and it's not to make Sophia into something perfect or make Michael into something perfect. Just see Sophia for what Sophia is. And if Sophia's sleepy in that moment, then Sophia's sleepy in that moment. So, you know, I can Ashandasa, see it, know it, let it go. It's okay. This is the beauty of a retreat, because we see that this body mind is just like this river of phenomena, and it's not like we're not trying to perfect it. We're just trying to see it and watch the river and understand it for what it is. All right, so we all have to taste the water for ourselves, as Asana said. So thank you for letting me share with you. And back to the Christians, I guess.